Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls and Brew.
Happy New Year! Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here for a Morgan You Know Podcasting Network live broadcast. You might be checking us out on Facebook. You might be checking us out on YouTube, maybe Twitch. We appreciate it. Maybe you're checking us out later on your preferred platform. However, you are checking us out, we appreciate it. I can promise you in the new year, I will have no more camera mishaps. We have the new camera locked in place. No more mishaps for that. I can promise you that in the new year. We had a big football game that was just played. It was a college football game. We talk more about the NFL. We'll get to that soon. But there are a couple people on this podcast that are incredibly excited about what just occurred, including the executive producer of this podcast, co-host of the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network, if you will, a man very important to me, a man very important to all of us, and a man who once worked for Indiana University, James Thomas Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Yeah, I worked for him for 10 years, and 9 of those years we were really, really bad at football. My last year was last year, so that was really good. And, you know, they did pretty good. So today, I love football, Rod. I love football today.
Today, you love football. We'll see what you say about the NFL game when we get there. Someone else who was incredibly excited for the Indiana Hoosiers to win, a man who saw them lose and lose and lose and lose and lose and lose because, well, he's older than all of us, so he just had more chances for it. But he's down there in Bloomington. He's right in the heart of all the excitement. He's our old man, Chris King. Chris, hello.
Yes, and I even got out my 1947 Rose Bowl jersey, Rod. Like I had that out today. It was that type of a day for IU football.
There we go. Another man who's excited. He's got his IU hat on. He called it. He didn't want to jinx it, ladies and gentlemen, but he called it. He damn near called it exactly. He saw this coming down the pipe. He's our football handicapper. He's Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
Man, it feels good to get something right, you know? So I felt super confident with IU versus Bama. This just was not the same Bama team that Nick Saban had led for the past, 2 decades or something like that. So, yeah, the line was totally off all week, and IU exposed the overrated SEC. Getting to last week, I went 1-1 against the spread, hit on the Houston Texans covering against the Chargers. They actually won that game outright. We barely missed the over in the defense optional since the Arizona game, missed that by 2.5 points. And there was a spot where Arizona was down so big that they passed on a field goal late because they were down so much. So kind of ran a little bit unlucky there. But we will get to why I'm on a certain team from Ohio this week, because I may have missed something about their defense in last week's breakdown.
He's actually on the Callahan Auto Parts intramural team. That's actually what he's going to talk about, because there's so many games in the NFL this Sunday that don't mean anything. Williams has been looking elsewhere. But I want to start here with the college game. Chris, I made this solemn promise to you that I was not going to all of a sudden jump on and be a bandwagon IU football fan. I wasn't going to get on in this final quarter. It didn't seem right to me. You and I attended a football game in person last year, Chris, where I rooted against basically the spine of this football team. So I was not going to be disingenuous and act like I was an IU fan. But I will say this. I'm happy for all of my friends that are excited like you guys. I am a Hoosier through and through. So go IU. But I didn't want to come across, Chris, as trying to act like I was joining the bandwagon, because I know how you protect fandom so much on this podcast.
Well, I appreciate that, Rod. And you've been pretty straightforward that when it comes to college football, you're only interested in Notre Dame. We know that's where the Morgan You Know works at. So we know where your loyalties lie, and we appreciate you for at least in college football, being a true fan and sticking with your guns. But it's just like, as an IU football fan, knowing that we're not usually in this position, I do find myself always rooting for other Big Ten teams, except for Purdue, to succeed in the postseason, right? So when IU lost to Notre Dame last year, like, yeah, let Ohio State or Oregon end up winning the national championship. Like, give me something like that. But this year it's IU. The road of the Big Ten now goes through Bloomington, gentlemen. This is insane to me. I'm still in disbelief.
Yes, you are. You can almost barely get your words together, Chris. We're gonna let you process this a little bit more. Jimmy, you're a little bit more closer to where I am with the IU football team. You're not quite as a blind homer as Chris and Williams are. Did you expect this out of IU today? Because I got to admit, I kind of thought that if this score happened today, it was going to be the other way around. I didn't want to tell all of you guys, but that's kind of what I thought would happen. I was kind of with the national media here.
I was more on Alabama was really overrated, and I just didn't think that they belonged in the playoffs. So I thought IU was going to win. I didn't think they were going to win by this much. But I'll tell you one thing. When they got up, a couple touchdowns, I knew what Cignetti was going to do. Keep going, and going, because he never, ever stops. And, well, when you don't get tackled on a halfback dive, there's really nothing much you can do except for score a touchdown. So I thought IU would win.
All right, there we go. Williams, what do you have to say about the IU performance moving forward against their next opponent? Do we not know who their opponent is? Do they play whoever wins this next game? Again, I know nothing about college football. Chris has exposed me already.
No, they play Oregon next Friday night in the Peach Bowl, which will be a tough game. I said all year that the best win for any NCAA football team this year was IU at Oregon, and all the SEC people scoffed at me. And then I even said when the bracket came out, I said the SEC is overrated. They will not win a game in this bracket unless it's versus a group of 5 team or another SEC team. And that has proven to be correct so far. They're only going to get one SEC team in the Final Four because they're playing another SEC team. So, but the IU Oregon game will be a very tough game. I will say this. I'm usually for coaches being super aggressive, or I'll say aggressive on 4th down decisions. Dan Lanning takes it way too far, and I'm calling this right now. He will make a massive mistake against IU, because when you go for it on 4th down, you go for it versus good offensive teams. We talked about this from the start, from like 15 years ago, when Belichick went for it on a 4th down against Peyton Manning, because he knew that he could not give the ball back to Peyton Manning. You go for it on 4th down versus good offensive teams. You do not do that versus good defensive teams. Alabama, I don't know what they were doing on the 4th and 1 play tonight versus IU, decided to go for it, got stuffed. Dan Lanning is going to make a mistake, and he's going to go for it on 4th down versus a super underrated Indiana defensive team. Indiana defense has only given up more than 13 points once this year on defense, because the Oregon game, there was a pick 6 and Oregon scored 20. So the actual IU defense has only given up 13 once this year, and nobody talks about that. That's why I was super confident in the Alabama game. Yeah.
You know what, Williams? Actually, I was going to throw to Chris on this. Chris, one thing that you'll be surprised that I know about this IU football team, because I do like my guy Todd McShay, all right? Him and Mensch, when they're going back and forth on their show, I know none of the players that they're talking about. I know nothing about the schemes, the deep scout terminology that they use, but the way that they interact, something about those guys I love, so I listen to the show all the time. They rave about the IU defensive coordinator. They have said all year long that the sneaky good part of this team is the IU defense. And I saw recently that the IU defensive coordinator does not want to leave yet. He wants to stick around. That's got to be something else that has you fired up about IU.
You know what should get you fired up, Rod? You're talking about Bryant Haynes, the defensive coordinator. He is a Ball State guy, all right?
Really?
He played at Ball State. Yep, right? So, and yeah, this guy loves football. He had a point in his life where he was essentially living out of his car because he would only take jobs where they included room and board, because that's what happened when he was coaching at Manchester University or Manchester College up in northern Indiana. So this guy loves football this much. So I'm very happy that he got the extensions, going to get paid, going to stick around and keep this defense going.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the college football playoff. What might be even more interesting is to see if I allow any more talk about it. Now, if IU keeps winning, we'll probably keep talking about it on this podcast. I'll promise you this, though. I won't be watching any of it. So you guys will have to catch us up on all of it that happens. But you know what? We are going to try to catch up you listeners about all of the playoff scenarios that still exist in the NFL, and we are going to get to that right now. All right, Jimmy, I'm going to go to you. You said you love football on the college side because your Hoosiers just got a big win, but I guess you don't technically love football on the NFL side because your Bears lost a game of the year nominee. Williams said defense optional in a game earlier. Defense was kind of optional in this Bears 49ers game, too.
Yeah, it's not an I hate football situation because it really was a great game on the offense, and honestly, it was a great game all around. Just the ending was poor, and we still had a shot. I mean, Caleb Williams, if he spikes the ball with 4 seconds left, maybe reset that play and try to score. But listen, Brock Purdy's my face of the week. He had 5 total touchdowns. The Bears defense could not stop them. Man, I wish the Bears had a pass rusher that could actually, rush the passer. That would be nice. But overall, Caleb Williams continues to grow week by week. Very excited. Lord and Savior still doing a great job. It was a tough loss, but they've got the division. They do need to beat the Lions just to go into the playoffs on a good note because that green and gold is lurking. They're coming for us.
Yeah, they definitely want some revenge there. Brock Purdy winning fantasy championships for people out there, probably. Chris, this guy scored crazily. Jimmy, what do you got?
Hey, Rod, I need to throw something in here real quick. So, had a really bad fantasy year in one of my leagues, right? With my partner, we did hit a pretty good streak in the playoffs. So we were in the final game to win our money back. Okay, we had Derrick Henry. We had him. He had the greatest game in fantasy history until freaking Brock Purdy had the greatest game in fantasy history, and that we lost by 5 points. I know no one cares, but I do. Chris.
Oh, man.
Stupid.
Fantasy football gets everybody like that. Everybody's got the horror stories that we all continue to play.
Right. It just happens to be what side of the coin are you on, right? Jimmy would be here just praising Derrick Henry and the success that he had in fantasy, but we know that's how it goes. All right. That guy on the other team is going to have somebody hasn't produced all year and all of a sudden puts up 45 points in a night.
47. Stupid Brock Purdy.
Just to be exact. No, that was a great football game. Williams, we go into the final week here and we have 3 games that are absolute playoff scenarios, but there are a couple of other games that people probably need to pay attention to, but we get right to it on Saturday. Were you surprised to see that 2 of the playoff scenario games were given to ESPN and are going to occur both on Saturday? I was.
Williams was not, apparently, Rod.
We might have lost Williams here. Jimmy, how about you?
No.
You take it then. Were you surprised to see they gave both the games to ESPN?
Well, no, because ESPN's one of their really big partners. I think they own the Red Zone moving forward as well. So having those both on Saturday is actually kind of a nice thing for us normal folk, and watch them on Saturday, and we don't have to really worry too much. We've got one game on Sunday that's pretty important. But, yeah, it does not surprise me at all that money talks in that case.
Yeah, Chris, I love that. You went there. Let's go. You and I are all about chaos. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand. There's a scenario where Tampa Bay can win Saturday night, go home feeling like they make the playoffs, but actually not make the playoffs, right? Chris, tell us what game we have to watch on Sunday.
Right.
Then.
If Tampa Bay wins, and they should, all right, they should win this game. If Tampa Bay wins, we have to watch the Saints versus the Falcons on Sunday. All right. This is must-see TV if the Bucs win, because if the Falcons end up winning against the Saints and there's a 3-way tie record-wise, the tiebreaker then goes to the best inter-division, which would turn out to be Carolina beating the Falcons twice, and Carolina still gets in over Tampa Bay.
Wow. Carolina beating the Falcons twice would get Carolina into the playoffs with a quarterback they don't really want, Jimmy, and a team that is not very good and will have an under 500 record. Wow.
And the Saints are good. They are a good team right now. They don't have Olave. Olave has a blood clot situation going on, so I know he's out. But They have been playing some really good ball lately, and how cool would that be? Again, I'm a KS guy too. I would love to see the Bucks win. Yeah, they're in. Oh, well, actually, no, you're not in. The Panthers are in, even though they're on a losing streak. What a great sport we watch.
I love what you called out there, Jimmy. Actually, the best quarterback residing in the NFC South, and it pains me to say, as a Baker guy, is probably Mother Shucker down there in New Orleans. He's been tearing it up these last couple of weeks for them.
You know, you mentioned the McShay show, which, by the way, I'm on your side too, Rod. I don't know what they're talking about, but I love that show, and I listen to it all the time. They did a redraft, and Shuck was the first pick, and he might be. Yeah, he's really good. The Saints are in a pretty good situation right now. They got the quarterback. They got the coach.
The Falcons aren't looking half bad either. Old man Cousins is actually playing pretty decent right now.
Old man.
Well, Cousins. It's the year after the injury.
It's an old guy renaissance. It's an old guy renaissance in the NFL as well, is what we have going on here. Hey, speaking of the number one pick, real quick, Jimmy, there's something else I kind of wanted to bring up. And while we're waiting to see if we can get Williams back here, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Name for me a more nondescript number one overall pick in the NFL the last couple of years than Cam Ward, right? I mean, just nobody's talked about this guy in Tennessee. Tennessee's been an afterthought. They've been a bad football team. Like, it's crazy to me to think that a quarterback from Miami got drafted number one, and then we just didn't talk anything about him, Chris. Doesn't that seem weird?
Well, I don't know if Tennessee really gave us much to talk about, period, this year. All right. Listen, I don't think anybody not necessarily also expected Tennessee to make this huge jump to be a 7 or 8, 9 win team. They are looking at getting another early pick, right? I don't know if I'm a Tennessee fan, actually, Rod, I'm probably happy that people aren't talking about it. That means he hasn't been so bad that people are blaming everything on him. All right. People realize there's way more issues in Tennessee than just what's happening behind center. All right. So let's get some of these other issues fixed. Let's get him protection and some decent receivers, a new running game, right?
All right, Rod, Jimmy, let's go to your heel.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. You got something for me. Fire away. No, fire away.
Sure.
Listen, we're vamping.
Over under on 2,700 yards for Cam Ward this year. How much do you think he has passing? Over under 2,700.
Man, see, you'd think that I should know this since I brought up the question about Cam Ward, but I'm going to go under. I love that you knew I wouldn't know. I'm going to go under, though, based on my
I'm going to take the over.
Cam Ward has 3,117 yards passing this year. 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I mean, that's not a bad season at all, especially for a rookie on the Titans whose coach got fired.
Right, that's better than a 2-1.
Just pulled that out. I love that you just pulled that out because that just proves the vibes thing, right? I said it feels like he's a nondescript over number one, but you just described a guy who in many years you'd kill to have those stats, and I think it kind of proves that we're just in a league where we pass so much that like 3,000 yards and that many touchdowns just seems like an afterthought to me.
Remember Peyton's first year setting the record for interceptions for a rookie? Like, we've seen way worse from what turned out to be better quarterbacks.
I do wonder, though, is that one of those things where on paper it looks a lot better than it does in real life? I've seen Cam Ward play in real life. It was his second game of the year, I think, so you really can't count that much, but he didn't look very, very good there. So maybe it's one of those things where it looks a little bit better. But I will tell you another thing that has a lot to do with fantasy league championships as well as my heel of the week. It should be the whole Detroit Lions team for what they did, but it is Jahmyr Gibbs, 17 carries for 41 yards. They lost 23-10. The Lions did not show up against a Minnesota team that's just struggling, Rod. I don't understand what is going on in Detroit.
Yeah, you lose to Max Brosmer. Something's probably not incredibly right with your football team. I don't know if Dan Campbell's not biting enough kneecaps. I don't know if he's biting too many kneecaps. I want to echo our guy, Cousin Sal, who made a quick little joke on Simmons about the worst proclamations of the year. But Dan Campbell is on that list for letting everybody know that he's calling the Detroit Lions offensive plays, and they have not scored a whole lot of points ever since then and won a lot of football games. So thanks, Dan Campbell, for that. And thank you, Mr. Williams, for solving whatever issues popped off at Williams HQ over there in South Bend. Is the internet demon coming for me over here in Mishawaka?
Man, I don't know. We got some snowstorm going on over here. I don't know what's going on. But I think you were going to ask me about the San Fran Bears game. I'll make it quick here. How did I miss that? The chosen one versus our Lord and Savior, 80 combined points, the two best play callers in all of football. Yes, the Bears lost, but it was a fantastic game. Long view, the Bears took the Packers down to the wire, lost in the last play of the game. The Bears took the Niners down to the wire, lost in the last play of the game, both on the road. Caleb is still missing passes. I think that's a good thing because for how close this team is and there's still room for improvement. So yes, very, very exciting game. Very excited for the Bears outlook going forward.
Yes, you definitely should be. I've for years hyped up the Bears, and the Bears are now where I maybe was ready to put them 2 years ago. Exciting there. Jimmy, I almost forgot we had one other game this week that is for playoff scenarios. Chris Collinsworth, Mike Tirico on the call. Will it be Aaron Rodgers' final game as an NFL quarterback? Will it be Mike Tomlin's final game as the Steelers coach? Will it be Jim Harbaugh's final game as the Ravens coach? Here's an even fourth wrench that I just heard recently. Will it be Lamar Jackson's final regular season game as Ravens linebacker? That is starting to burble up. There's a lot going on with this game, Williams. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if I know the NFL like I think I know the NFL, and Tomlin completely crapping down his leg versus the Browns, he now has more losses versus teams that are 8 games below 500 than any other coach in the last 20 years, and it's not even close. But then you know what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be on the Ravens this week, and there is no better coach as an underdog, as we all know, than Mike Tomlin, the rah-rah spot. And how about like Baltimore? If they just would have gave the ball to King Henry against the Patriots, they wouldn't even be in this position. Check this out. He leads all NFL running backs in the history of NFL running backs in rushing yards in the months of December and January. Nobody wants to get in front of that freight train in the cold months. Number 2 on that list is Barry Sanders. Number 3 on that list is Eric Dickerson. And if you're a fan of Narrative Street, guess who turns 32 on Sunday night? That is Derrick Henry.
Ooh, birthday. I like it. Rod likes it so much.
I got to admit, I totally thought you were going to give me a Christian Okoye or an Earl Campbell or Natron Means, or just you were going to give me some big boy running back there with the yards per carry in December and January. I was hoping for one of those guys on the list. That's just me. Chris, you're a former resident of Pittsburgh. We've had quite a bit of Pittsburgh talk. I would be remiss if I didn't go for you for your thoughts on this football game.
Well, I want Baltimore to win because I'm not a Steelers fan, right? I can guarantee you people in Pittsburgh are tired of the Tomlin that keeps losing to these horrible teams and keeps squeaking by with a 9-8 record or an 8-8 record or barely getting into the playoffs, right? This is a city that wants NFL championships, and they aren't happy unless that's what they're getting. All right. This is a drinking town with a football problem, and they have a football problem with Mike Tomlin right now.
Oh, this will be a fun one. Like, I'm with you guys. This is going to be a game that's going to end on like a wild pass interference call or a special teams touchdown. I mean, it's just going to be a complete Pittsburgh special, right? Rodgers is gonna have like 107. Oh, he's going to have like 117 yards passing, but Pittsburgh's still going to somehow figure out how to win. And the problem for me is I'm not so sure that DK Metcalf should be suspended for this game. Honestly, I'm really not. And I have a problem with the NFL rules committee there. And Williams, I know you have an issue with the NFL rules committee. And is it about DK Metcalf or something else for Are You Serious?
No, it's something that I cannot believe. All 3 of you guys gave me grief about this last year, and I cannot believe it because the NBA switched this rule, and it's to their benefit now. I'm talking about the 4th division winner being under 500 and getting to host a playoff game versus a team that has won 11 or 12 games. NFL Rules Committee, you have got to stop this. They switched it in the NBA. The 3rd division winner does not get a guaranteed home court playoff appearance. and that's common sense. They need to change it in the NFL. There's no way this crap NFC South, whoever wins the division, gets to host an awesome Seattle team or LA Rams team or San Francisco team. And you cannot tell me that this is right. And the owners are afraid because they want that money for that home playoff game. There's only 3 other teams in this crappy division. You should not get a reward for winning a crappy division. NFL Rules Committee, are you serious?
So what I heard there, Jimmy, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that the NBA is far superior to the NFL. I basically is what I heard there. Is that what I have to take away from that?
It is, and it's odd that Williams would say that because he's kind of been our NFL guy. So maybe Williams will stay on for the fast break. Who knows?
Yeah. No, Williams, listen, you're absolutely right there. And I got to think that this rule still is around because of the Carolina Panthers owner, former to David Tepper. Jerry Richardson used to be able to throw his weight around a little bit. He was an important owner, right? He was a former player, represented small markets. So he got to get some things done until we learned, as we did with so many other people, he was up to a lot of bad stuff and he was ousted, right? But I'd imagine he fought to keep this rule for the very reason that may benefit the Carolina Panthers. So you're absolutely right. The NFL and Goodell need to step in front of the owners and say, this is better for our product. No more. I'm with you there. Chris, we got one more week after this to induct people into the Leatherhead Society. What do you got for us this week?
Rod, this is a guy that won't have another chance. I think we may have seen him play his last game. All right. And I got to give it to a guy who started playing with leather helmets, I believe. And this is the old man, the bolo tie, Phillip Rivers. All right. Thank you, old man, for coming back, showing us that you still got it, making somehow Steve Young believe he could come back even. But, listen, Phillip Rivers deserves a leatherhead, all right? Coming back with straight off the couch, Rod. All right. He looked straight off the couch. Like he was giving his grandbabies knee rides, all right? And then came out and played quarterback for our Colts and played well enough to win. All right. He didn't lose those games. Our defense did.
Jimmy, as so often, I go to you for the sanity here. Is
Sure.
this where we can have the Colts discussion, or should we wait to have the Colts discussion? Because I think you're smart enough to know what Colts discussion I want to have here, and I want to just be proper and respectful and right to everybody, because I echo Chris's sentiments on Phillip Rivers, but the Phillip Rivers scenario has kind of been a Band-Aid over an absolute collapse by the Indianapolis Colts.
I say we wait to have that next week after everything is said and done and after that Monday happens, because there may be some stuff that happens on that Monday that we'll have to talk about.
And if people are still into reading out there, shout out to Jordan Rodriguez, who has an article out available on The Athletic and the New York Times about Carly Ursay Gordon. Really, really good read. And if you want some perspective on where the Colts might be going in the Black Monday talk Jimmy was just alluding to, that article by Jordan Rodriguez has some good perspective in it. So check that out. Look at me, Jimmy, shouting out an article to read. Did you ever think that would happen?
I didn't think you could, so congratulations, bud.
Look at you. Didn't think I could. I can read your name up there. You know that.
There
I
you
like
go.
it. All right. Hey, we got a couple more chances for picks against the spread, Williams. What do you got for us? And you got a couple games that don't actually really matter. So let's have some plays. Let's make some money on them.
Yeah, by the way, to circle back, and Rod, you're either going to hate this or love this. Sauce Gardner with the Jets this year, 1-7. Sauce Gardner with the Colts this year, 1-7. I know it's not his fault, but that's just, God, that's so bad. Okay.
You just had to open that wound, didn't you, Williams?
Yeah.
If only somebody would have sent out a message to many of his friends where he's down on paper saying this has disaster written all over it. But as Jimmy said, we'll talk about this at a future date.
I will say, I think Sauce will match up with Emaruno's play style pretty well going forward. I will say that. Okay. What's huge in week 18 is motivation, right? And so when you look at these games, I hardly ever like to lay points, but I'm doing it this week in the Battle of Ohio. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals -7.5. That's -108 on DK versus the Cleveland Browns. Look, You bet on Cleveland at home. They are 62% against the spread at home over the last 3 years. You bet against Cleveland when they play on the road. This game is in Cincinnati. The Browns are 6-18 against the spread on the road, by far the worst in the league. That's 25%, failing to cover by an average of touchdown per game. And the Bengals offense is rolling right now. They've quietly scored 32 points or more in 4 of their last 5 games. And for the Browns, stud rookie tight end Harold Fandon likely out. The other tight end, David Njoku, likely out. A key piece on the offensive line, Tevin Jenkins, is in concussion protocol. And the rookie linebacker, Carson Schlesinger, likely out. By the way, he's the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So that's interesting. And I think the Browns won their Super Bowl last week. I mean, they knocked off the Steelers 13-6 in what was a huge game for Pittsburgh. This is a letdown spot for them. Doesn't mean anything. This will be a clear upgrade in offense, going from a DK Metcalf-less Steeler team to this Cincy offense, who was clicking on all cylinders in the last month. And the first 10 weeks, this is a little bit in the weeds here, but why I was probably wrong taking the over in the Cincy Arizona game last week. The first 10 weeks of the year, Cincy was the worst defense in DVOA rankings. Since week 11, they've actually been top 3 in rushing success rate on defense. The new coordinator, Al Gordon, from Notre Dame, takes some time to get adjusted to the scheme for all the players. The 2 rookie linebackers have started to play better. Jalen Davis is playing the slot now for him. He was on their practice squad for years. That's a real good story. That's allowed Dax Hill to kick outside since he went to the perimeter. He's been really good this year. And their other cornerback, DJ Turner, has been one of the most underrated cornerbacks all year. The linebackers are playing better. The D-line is playing better with these new alignments. The secondary really thriving with everyone playing in their natural spots now. Give me the Bengals -7.5 to beat down the Browns on Sunday.
I think we just went deeper on this Bengals Brown game than Bengals Sports Radio in Cincinnati is going to go on this game. That was some good stuff out of you right there, Williams. Chris, do you find Corey Schlesinger possibly winning Defensive Rookie of the Year as exciting as Williams does? Because he said that was an interesting thing in there, and then my immediate thought was there's nothing interesting about that at all.
I don't even think his name is being brought up on Cincinnati Sports Radio, Rod. But I have to agree.
I'm not even
Williams.
sure if I said his name right. Is Corey Schlesinger even what he said, or did I mispronounce it?
It's Carson Schlesinger. Everybody knows this.
There you go.
But I do think the Bengals win this game. This is the team I'm picking in my wins league as well.
Oh, look out, Chris!
Look at you throwing that in there so you actually get one. All right,
Jimmy. You're a Cincinnati resident. I got to go to you anytime Cincinnati comes up. What are your thoughts on the Battle of Ohio here? Oh, once a Cincinnati resident.
Well, yeah, not yeah. Listen, I've been a lot of places. Yeah. I think Joe Burrow's having fun again. Thank goodness, because the Cincinnati Bengals need him to have some fun. I think they're gonna. First of all, I think Garrett's gonna get the sack record against Burrow. That's definitely gonna happen. He actually
let's hope he gets it with a legit sack too, please. You know what I mean? None of this Michael Strahan stuff, because that's been a story for years ever since it went down.
And I think this is going to be your final Shadur Sanders quarterbacking for the Browns.
Yeah, man. When Dion doesn't even really want to have something to say, like, you know it might have run its course. When Dion's going to step away and not necessarily fire up his opinion about something, and then that person is his son, maybe it's time to run it off. All right. Packers, Minnesota. Williams, what do you got for us? Green Bay basically should be resting, so I'm interested in what angle you got here.
Yeah, this is way less sophisticated than the Battle of Ohio breakdown here. I'm taking the Vikings -7.5, -115 on DK and Caesars. And I would never lay this in any other week except for week 18. There's more juice on Minnesota on FanDuel, and this line has actually moved up to 8 on the Score app. So make sure you get this at 7.5 on DK and Caesars. So like I said, this handicap is not that sophisticated at all here. The Packers don't care about this game at all. And I've been saying this for years now, Rod, the NFL needs to switch all these division games to week 17, not week 18, because you've got this great rivalry between the Vikings and the Packers. The Vikings fans hate the Packers fans. The Packers fans hate the Vikings fans. And this game means absolutely nothing to the Packers. So there goes my rant right there. But yeah, the Packers are already locked into the 7 seed. they're going to field a practice team unit for this game. And remember what happened last year in the regular season finale. Jordan Love got banged up and Christian Watson tore his ACL. They limped into the playoffs, lost to Philly, and that's how their season ended. I don't think LaFleur wants anything to do with that this year. The Packers are going to run the ball here, try to get out of Minnesota relatively healthy. We're going to see some Clayton Tune here for the Packers. They've got some O-line injuries. And the Pack on D, since they lost Micah Parsons since week 11, 26th in EPA per play on defense and 26th in success rate on defense since they lost Parsons. And the Vikings will come at you with Brian Flores pressure blitz defenses the whole game. They're trying to end the year on a 5-game winning streak and a winning season. I think that's important to Kevin O'Connell, and I think it's important to Brian Flores because I think he wants to put his hat in the coaching ring again to get a head gig for next year. So give me the Minnesota Vikings minus 7.5, but it's really only because I don't think the Packers have anything to play for here.
Good luck to Mr. Flores. I haven't checked in on his pending legal situation, but until that thing's 100% put to bed, I don't think any NFL team's going to be hiring him as a head coach anytime soon. But he is a heck of a defensive coordinator and probably deserves another shot, no doubt about that. I picked up on one thing in there. Why is Clayton Tune playing? They're not even playing Malik Willis. Why are the Packers not even playing Malik Willis? Are they trying to hurt his pocketbook? This is the Matt Flynn spot for him here.
Dude, I don't think they can afford to get Malik Willis injured. I think Malik Willis has earned himself a huge bag for next year. We've seen
he's the Raiders quarterback at this point, isn't he?
I think he's the Colts quarterback at this point, Rod.
there could be like 7 or 8 teams vying for him next year. I mean, he played awesome last week.
No, we got to go get Drew Brees out of the booth, or Jay Cutler or something at this point, don't we? We got to get somebody who's like 43 or turning 44 next year now, right? We got to just try to run this thing back, don't we?
Youth movement, I like it.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think about this Vikings Packers game?
I will have way more fun watching Saints Falcons. Because I don't think I don't think Green Bay has anything to play for or to risk anything, so it's not going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, Falcons. That's a game we'll have to be watching. All right, Wins League, Williams. Where do we stand with one league remaining? Is there even a reason to talk about it, or have you see?
Go ahead.
With 1 week left, we'll recap what happened last week. Rod had the most wins. He had 5, so he's up to 66. Jimmy, you had 4 wins. You're at 48. Chris also had 4 wins. He's up to 68, so he's in second right now. And then I had 3 wins, and I'm at 74. So It looks like the race is for second, but I still haven't officially clinched it for next week.
Yeah, but you got to get 0 wins, and we got to get 6. It's going to be a whole thing. So
for a
as
tie,
Jimmy always states, the handicapper should win. But Chris and I are battling it out for second. So Chris, let's go. You and I, we're locking horns again for second, my friend.
Hey, I'm still shooting Hail Marys for that first place. We'll see what happens. Maybe his teams won't play this week.
There we go. Yeah, tanking. Maybe it'll come back to actually help you with the Wins League, Chris. You've been railing against it for years in all different sports. Maybe it'll come back and actually pay you back here.
It's due. It's due.
Jimmy Jam, 50 wins. Is that what you're hoping for at this point? Are you just like, can I crack 50? Is that where we're trying to be with in the Jam Riska Adobe?
The goalposts have to be moved, Rod. Yes, I want 50 wins. I want to be within 30 of Williams. That would be great. I think I'm going to get there. It has not been a great season.
All right. Where do we even want to do Survivor League one last time? Do we have anything to decide there? Can we declare a champion? Where does that stand?
Oh, I think we have to do one more. I mean, Chris already went. Chris already took the Bengals.
I guess that's true. I got to look at the schedule then. You guys go.
I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think they're going to beat the Bucks. I think the Bucks are in a tailspin, and I really love chaos. So if I pick the Panthers, I'm on a 3 or 4 losing streak here. So that means the Bucks will win, and then we'll have chaos. So I'm going to go Panthers. And I lost last week. I had the Colts last week. I lost, of course.
Yeah, so Chris has locked up the Survivor League championship. He's 12-4. Jimmy's 11-6. I am 11-6, and Rod is 10-7. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars this week against the Tennessee Titans.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick a team that I've definitely not picked. How about them Cowboys? Give me the Cowboys over the Giants. The Giants absolutely do not want to win this game. Their fans are already mad enough that they won last week, so there's no chance they're going to beat the Cowboys this week, and the Cowboys are going to put up some points and be exciting at least one last time. And Jerry's going to smile all the way.
I like that pick, Rod.
The Giants are totally going to win. They are
They
so
might.
dumb.
It's just,
They
it's
are
totally
so
like the Giants.
dumb.
Yeah. Like who was it? Who was it? I can't think of the guy's name. He's out and Drew Lock, the Drew Lock game where Drew Lock just absolutely eviscerated Steichen and the Colts and hurt our playoff chances.
Sorry for
So stay tuned next week.
Silver and black.
Here we go. Stay tuned next week. We you heard it teased there. We got a big Colts discussion. You guys think you've heard Chris and I yell at each other before? Just wait till we talk about this Colts situation next week. Boy, are we going to disagree on that. I thought maybe we were going to have a surprise Wu-Tang for basketball talk, but as our friend Wu-Tang tends to do, he has fallen through at the last minute. So you'll just have to have basketball talk with me, Jimmy and Chris. Williams, thank you so much as always.
Yeah, no problem. I got one quick last thing for the MVP comparison here, real quick. Stafford versus May. Stafford has played the third toughest schedule of opposing pass defenses this season. Drake May has played the easiest. And May versus teams over 500, which is only Pittsburgh and then Buffalo twice. He's got 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. Stafford versus teams over 500, 20 touchdowns, 1 pick. And Stafford versus 11-win teams this year, 20 touchdown passes. That's most in the NFL history. 51 quarterbacks have at least 1 touchdown versus 11-win teams. Drake May has 0. And the
Drake maybe.
The Pats have the easiest schedule since the 99 Rams. That actually might be a good thing because the 99 Rams actually won the Super Bowl. But how about this? The last QB to win the MVP on a non-division winning team, which could be Stafford this year, 2008, Peyton Manning.
18. Love ending a football show with 18. The last real Colts quarterback.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. Rod, Jimmy, and Chris are here. I want to get right into the biggest news here. We've got some hurt big men, gentlemen. Jokic out for at least a month. Wemby out for a little bit. Not as bad as it could have been. Does it hurt your heart, Rod, to have Jokic go out?
You know, it kind of does. It kind of does because in an NBA where guys are ready to sit down at the slightest tweak, Jokic is not really that guy. In an NBA where everybody is just ready to hand the entire bag to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder, there was Jokic getting 56, 15, and 16 on Christmas night, keeping the Nuggets in the hunt in the Western Conference. So seeing him go down bums me out because he was the one guy who played over, I think, 66 games, like the last 8 seasons. He just always was out there. I got to admit, Jimmy, I'm not the least bit surprised that Wemby is down again. You just, as much as I love the guy, that's just how it's going to be. We all know how Yao Ming was. We all know how it was for Greg Oden. We all see how it's going for Zach Edey right now. Like, it just, the body is not supposed to be able to deal with somebody that size. And so I just think we're going to continue to have problems with Wemby. So that one doesn't surprise me, but Jokic hurts my heart. That was a good apt description by you.
Chris, with the Spurs beating the Thunder 3 times in less than in about a week's time, do you think that they're going to have to look at using Wemby in a different way and maybe have him just come off the bench?
If I'm San Antonio, I already see, okay, I have whatever is their kryptonite, right? We know we're going to have to get through OKC in the playoffs. I have done showed that I can do that. I've done showed it. All right. Now, that puts the pressure on OKC to prove to everybody else that they can figure out a way to beat me. I'm not going to change necessarily what we do, but with Wemby out there, with Fox out there, like that, and all San Antonio needs is one more 3-point shooter. All right, they get one
Chris,
more
they actually-
shooter.
Chris, they wouldn't be technically changing what they did, though, because in those games versus the Thunder, Wemby was on a minutes restriction for some of those and actually did come off the bench. And when they swung the game, is when their second unit had a 7'7" monster. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Here's the other thing. Chris, I love what you said there. And Jimmy, it's like a Rocky V moment here, right? He bleeds blood, right? Remember when Rocky comes over into the corner after he finally makes the Russian bleed and sees that he's not a robot and that he actually might finally be able to beat him? The Spurs took down the Thunder in 3 different locations in the span of 12 days. Correct me if I'm wrong here. That's a series, okay?
Yeah.
So the impenetrable Oklahoma City Thunder just got beat 3 times in 3 different locations in the span of 12 days. That's a series right there. Spurs showed everybody that they can bleed.
They can bleed. But there's a lot of bleeding. And there's no bleeding at the dining room table. And there's no bleeding at the MVP table. This week has had a big ramifications on that. So let's talk about our MVP table right now. Wemby's got to be out of the table, right? He's not going to make the games list, the games requirement, is he?
I think you could take both of the gentlemen you brought up at the beginning of the show off at this point, Jimmy. I think Jokic and Wemby are going to have a tough time making it. I think a third guy that's going to have a tough time making it because of the way he's been going is Luka. I think by the time we get to the end of the year, Luka's going to be pushing it too.
Yeah, Luka's going to be close.
Chris, is this a table for one?
I think even if you took, I'm not ready to take Luka out yet. Yet. But I do think you got to take Wemby and you got to take Nikolai out. I think there's still right now. I think I can put 3 people there for sure. Might be able to convince me on a 4th or 5th, but I definitely think Luka, SGA. I think Maxey from Philadelphia deserves to be there.
Maxey, okay.
Oh, I thought you were going somebody else in the Eastern Conference.
Right. You could make a case for Jalen Brunson as well. And
that's who I was thinking.
On the outside, to be honest, because Detroit's playing real well, you got to have Cade Cunningham standing by asking for a spot.
Okay, so Rod, on the Yeah We Know podcast, on Balls and Brew, and on the Fast Break, we're not giving out participation trophies, okay? You're either in or you're out. So we need to figure out if these people are actually in at the table or not. So Shay, I think we can all agree, is at the table, correct?
Yes, we are serving poutine at the table. There is a heaping of fries, gravy, and mashed potatoes. We have a lot of maple syrup around the table. We have Canadian bacon, not ham. Okay, that's definitely what's going on at the MVP table right now.
I think it is fair to say, Chris, that Jokic and Victor have got to be out of the table because they're just not going to make it. We do reserve the right, if they are going to make it, to then invite them back to the table, correct?
Yes, I think for sure. If by game 82 they have successfully surpassed the restrictions, then yeah, they're going to be at the table automatically.
So
can I nominate a third? Can I nominate a third that will be in this waiting area? If Giannis makes the 65 game mark, all right, and the Bucks can somehow be in the playoffs, I still think he deserves possibly a seat at the table. So I think if we're going to reserve a room for people that we'll put back in if they hit the 65 games, I think Giannis has got to be there.
Okay, so we'll give him one of those buzzer things, text him when he's ready to come. Okay, I like that. In what world, Rod, is Jalen Brunson the MVP this year? Is there any chance he's the MVP?
I think if the Knicks are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference and Jalen Brunson continues to average the amount of points and assists that he is averaging right now, I think there is definitely a world where he is a legitimate contender for the MVP.
Okay, so Chris, do you agree that Jalen Brunson should have a seat at the table?
Yeah, I think we can put Brunson there.
Okay, now Chris, I'm going to go to you because you brought him up. Tyrese Maxey, Philadelphia, doing a lot better than we thought they'd be doing. In what world is he actually going to win the MVP, and should he be at this table?
I think for the same kind of reason that Rod said, I think if Philly ends up getting a top 2 seed, right, exceeding expectations, this would really fall because of how well Maxi's been playing. All right. He is now the de facto leader of this team. When I think of Philadelphia, it's no longer of Joel Embiid and whoever else, but Tyrese Maxey and everybody else.
All right, Rod, you think Tyrese and Tyrone Maxey, the brothers, should be at the table?
I think in a world where we are going to set up a room where a couple of individuals have a buzzer and we are going to bring them back into the table, I think we need to have people at the table to fill those bodies, right? Kind of like a seat filler at the Academy Awards. So I think Tyrese Maxey at the table right now is awfully valid. Your question, though, Jimmy, when you said, is there a legit world where we can see Tyrese Maxey holding the MVP trophy at the end of the year? My answer to that is actually no. I really don't think there is. So I think that he's a seat filler right now while we're waiting to see what happens with a few other guys. But I think you got to shout out his performance right now, and I appreciate Chris for doing that.
Yeah, he's doing very well. I just don't think the Sixers as a team are going to be that. Are they going to be at that level? Now, listen, if they are the number 1 seed, he may get the MVP, but I just don't think in this world that will happen.
Well, let's talk about somebody who has to me better stats than Maxey a little bit, and their team is currently number 1 in the East. That's Cade Cunningham. All right, 10 assists, 6 boards, 26 points a game. All right, he doesn't score as much as Maxey, but he is producing a lot of offense and leading that Detroit team.
I think he's got to be at the table, Rod, because of what he just said. He's grown every single year. Detroit's in the first place. I think he's got to be there, right?
Okay, I won't disagree with that, and I'm going to seem a little bit like a homer here. But if we're going to essentially put somebody at the table because they're playing excellent basketball right now, and we say, what if their team ends up a top 3 seed? I got to bring up somebody in Boston who's playing the best ball of their entire career and has the Boston Celtics floating way higher above water than anybody else thought. So, I mean, if we're giving out participation trophies to seats at the table, Jaylen Brown should get one of those right now.
All right, so I was gonna actually I was gonna bring up Jaylen Brown. If you want to talk about MVP and you want to talk about someone who has brought their team to places we did not think they were going to be, Jaylen Brown is that person. The Celtics are so much better than they should be. But if we only have 1 seat left, Rod, are you going to take Luka? Are you going to take Jaylen Brown? You're going to take Cade Cunningham? Who would you take in your non-homer, looking at numbers and everything style here?
It's got to be Luka. Chris is right. Luka isn't as far, like, you can't say that he's going to miss 65 games as easily as you can say that about Nikola and Victor right now. So I think Luka's got to be on there. But I think if we're elevating guys like Maxey and Brown because of their team's play right now, we have to ding Luka a little bit, still seat him at the table, but ding him a little bit because his defense is atrocious. The Lakers team defense is atrocious, and they look a little bit like a train wreck right now. And now that may have more to do with the King, but things look a little not great in La La Land right now.
All right, so for our first MVP table, I think a six top is pretty good. You know, getting everybody in there that can talk. You're talking. You're not odd numbers, anything like that. So if we have Shea, Brunson, Maxey, Cade, Luka, and Brown, I think that's a pretty decent MVP table, and a table we did not think was going to happen. I mean, if we did this last week, it probably would have been 2. It would have been Luka and not Luka, Shea and Jokic, and that would be it. I mean, really, because it was one of those 2.
Well, a lot more guys from the East in this table because of these injury concerns as well.
That's a very good point.
3 of these guys
I was just going to ask, who then is not at the table? Are we looking at an Ant Edwards and a Kevin Durant then as the 2 guys who might be the most angry that they're not at the table because of the possibility of their team being the ones in the West?
Well, did Ant Edwards, is he back from leaving the bench the other night when they were down like 30 and they got benched? Is he back yet? I didn't see that.
That's a good point. He does get a little mercurial at times, doesn't he?
I think KD is going to be
he can't win MVP. He just
can't win
You're right.
MVP, but he's good. This is going to be an underrated season for him because the Rockets is a story. They got a lot of people on that team, but KD is the glue that's really helping them.
He frustrates me so much. All the talent in the world, he just doesn't work hard enough to me. It drives me insane.
Well, you know what else can be
frustrating? Can't win.
You know what else can be frustrating, Chris? People that make Rod angry.
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. Hubris, ego, and pride. Jimmy, I love that continues to be in our Rod Damnation Open. And I also love that I got to shout this guy out when we talked about the MVP table for the good in his game, because a lot of his game is good. A lot of Giannis is good. Giannis is good. Giannis is usually the guy in the NBA that I will prop up as the example I wish more people acted like. But occasionally, Giannis steps outside and does things that you shouldn't do. And then where I have a bigger problem with Giannis is when he tries to explain those things away, he sounds like a complete fool. Okay. So Giannis versus the Bulls. Derek, I'm sure, was going crazy about this. Giannis steals the ball at the end of the game. Bucks are up by a bunch of points. He breaks away for a slam dunk. You don't do it. All right. You just don't do it. Vucci Main gets mad. Kobe White gets mad. Bobby Portis is sticking up for Giannis. Giannis completely bails. So Giannis breaks away for the dunk and then completely bails on the aftermath. In the press game, he's asked about it in the post-game presser, and his answer is, well, we're fighting for our lives. We're out there. This means everything. We got to fight, claw, and crap. And so fight, scrap, and claw. Excuse me. And so I got to inspire my team.
What's going on in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I got to inspire my team. So, okay, Giannis, you have us all believe that you breaking away for a dunk at the end of the game to pad your steal and point stats is somehow going to inspire the Bucks to come out of this morass and be one of the top teams in the East. Get out of here. And meanwhile, you're going to yell at somebody for asking you about your future in Milwaukee when you have done nothing but fan those flames yourself. I'm sorry, Giannis. Normally, I love you, buddy, but you were in the wrong last week and you earned Rod Damnation.
Thank you, Rod, for that. I tend to agree with everything you said on that one. Sometimes your Rod Damnations are a little too personal, a little too directed at people, but I think this one is right. Who are you, Giannis? What are you doing right now? You want to break away? You just wanted to do something and rub it in their face? Like, I didn't understand that, Chris.
There seems to be a pattern here of Giannis not handling end of game or after game situations well. You can talk about this year. Last year, there was a couple times. There was the end of the Pacers game when the Bucks lost, and there was a game ball situation again. There was a free throw situation at Philadelphia once after a game, right? There is definitely a situation where I can see Giannis having an issue after losing games and not being a professional at times. I think there's a pattern here, and that may not help his situation and trying to find a better situation at another NBA franchise after this either.
Chris, that was very well said. Excellent job. Those broadcasting classes are really paying off. Let's talk about the Wins League before we get to the Kings Hardwood hierarchy. I got nothing else, Chris. That was beautiful. Of the people that are here, Chris, 94 wins. Rod, 100 wins. And Jimmy, 101 wins. So Jimmy is the reigning defending, even though Wu-Tang has 106. Derek has 95. So Jimmy is winning of the people that are here, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing right now is the Kings.
I'm only one behind you. Is that what's most important? Now I'm only one behind you and you're doing all this gloating. Is that what's most important?
Rod's muted again.
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie.
All right, so the file I clicked on said Kings 2025. Okay, so listen, We got to work on this, Riverside. Maybe if we have a little chat someday and you actually keep your meeting requests, that would be great. I'm going to hit this one more time. If it doesn't work, there you go.
Bryant for the win.
We already talked about this team. All right. We talked about both these teams. But when you win 3 games in 12 days, you become the new king of the hardwood, and that's the Spurs.
Wow. Yeah, I think that was a really good pick there. They beat the defending champions 3 times in a row and really kind of dominated.
Yeah, yeah. And then OKC moves into the queen spot. All right. We talked a week or so ago about whether or not they'd lose any more before the end of the year. And Rod thought I was a little bit crazy that I said I think they could lose 4 more, and that's what's happened. 3 of them against the Spurs. So, queen.
Hey, Rod, question for you. So usually Chris always says it's in the now and what's happening right now. How can a team that's lost 4 games in like 12 days be the queen, Rod?
Yeah, I also love that like Chris painted me as an Oklahoma City fan somehow, even though most of the time I come on here and I say that I absolutely don't like this team. Like just anytime Chris could figure out some sort of way to throw a shot over across the bow here, he's just gonna figure it out. He's like, even though Rod said Oklahoma City wasn't gonna lose again, as if I'm some sort of Oklahoma City supporter that I'm waving the towel with all the crazies down there. Goodness gracious.
And then Detroit, it will be the Prince this week. Detroit has the best record in the East. They are still showing that they are the cream of the crop. I know the East is a little bit different than the West. I think the East is a lot more interesting at the top right now. You got a lot of teams playing well, but Detroit's the best out of all of them, so they get the Prince.
And finally, the Jester.
All right, listen, you lose 10 in a row. All right, it's sad days in Indianapolis. All right, the Pacers are the Jester again, but I'm not just putting this on the Pacers. I'm putting this on a specific person within the Pacers organization this week. All right, the Jester of not just the Pacers but of the entire NBA is whoever's in charge of travel and accommodations for the Pacers when they're on the road, because obviously wherever they're staying at aren't good hotels because they've only won 1 game on the road. So let's fire this travel agent, get a new one, get some better accommodations so the Pacers can play a little bit better on the road.
Can I ask you guys a question, Pacers related?
Yeah.
How bad does James Wiseman have to be that he got cut from this Pacers team twice? Like, honestly, like how bad is James Wiseman if this team cut that dude twice this year?
There's nothing to say to that. It's one of those stories that there's got to be something else. Is he just doesn't have any motivation whatsoever. I mean, the guy is what, almost 7 foot and just can't do anything. He's still young. I don't understand at all.
My other favorite part about this Pacers season, and this, Jimmy, I love how you shouted out that my Rod donations are so often personal. This is completely personal, but all of the Mac McClung love that was thrown his way for winning the dunk contest over the years, and all of the people that were mad at me for being so angry that a non-NBA player was even allowed to participate. Then finally, Mac McClung, the sainted Mac McClung, gets his chance to play for the Pacers, and he's not even good enough to hang around this Pacers team for longer than 7 days. They gave him a guaranteed contract and then still cut him into 7 days. I was so happy to see that the Mac McClung fantasy finally died.
You know what's funny? They signed Mac McClung and waived Wiseman. That's what they did. So that's
what I mean. But then they brought Wiseman back and cut him again.
Yeah.
So how bad does he have to be?
That's going to do it for. That's going to do it for
Dax
ball.
is never going to come on this show now. He's never going to come on the show with all the trash I talk about the Pacers.
That's going to do it for Balls and Brew and the fast break here and the first episode of 2026. If you are a big wrestling fan, we did our end of the year Yeah We Know We awards on Tuesday of this week. You can check that out in the feed or on YouTube. Our reels are doing pretty good with that right now. The John Cena, we talked about him and maybe as a wrestler of the year candidate. Got about 800 views right now. We've got a couple others. Somebody's very, very on your side, Rod, that Dom should have been the most overrated wrestler. And you might have been right on that one.
0 clean pin wins. 0. All right. Not a typo. 0 clean pin wins.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Goodbye, Internet.
Chris is so angry at you right now.